Good morning, and welcome to the Alameda Connection on KCSM-HD2. I'm your host, Scott Piehler. From being the terminus of the first transcontinental railroad, through its time as the home of the Alameda Naval Air Station, to its iconic place in the canon of the Star Trek universe, to its current designation as a mecca for fun seekers, foodies, family, and more, the Bay Area's island city has something to offer everyone. Every Sunday morning on the Alameda Connection, it's my privilege to be your guide to the best that Alameda has to offer. This week, we're turning our attention to Alameda Pride by sitting down with Founder and President Jeramie Andehueson. First up, a little technical note. If you're listening to this show on the initial broadcast on KCSM-HD2, the events of Alameda Pride are happening this Saturday, October 11th. If you're listening on either the podcast feed or from the YouTube archive, the events mentioned in this episode have already gone by. But Alameda Pride is much more than just one Saturday in October. The Alameda Pride Foundation is doing great work for the LGBTQ+ community year-round, including the creation and operation of the Queer Teen Alameda Center, or QTAC, a dedicated space for the queer youth of Alameda to enjoy community and camaraderie in an affirming space. You'll learn that there's a very good reason why Alameda Pride does not take place in the typical Pride month of June, but rather in October, a month that is equally important to the LGBTQ+ community for a number of reasons. Be sure to stick around after my conversation with Jeramie Andehueson, because I want to invite you to an event that combines three of my favorite things: Alameda, KCSM, and the California Historical Radio Society. Details on that coming up after our sit-down with Jeramie Andehueson, founder and president of Alameda Pride. He's my guest today on the Alameda Connection, right here on KCSM HD2. Good morning, Jeramie, and welcome to the Alameda Connection.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. First of all, what's your background? How did Jeramie get to Alameda?
I was born and raised in the Midwest. Obviously, that's not the greatest place to grow up as a gay man in the mid-90s. I moved around a lot when I was younger to find my place. I ended up settling in California, LA area to be exact, and met my husband, now husband. We kind of set on an adventure to move to the Bay Area because we fell in love with it on a vacation one time, and Alameda was a place that felt like my Midwest home,
Okay.
but a lot more accepting and a lot more sense of community. So that's why I'm here.
It's funny because my wife and I are originally from New England. There's a New England vibe here. There's a Midwest vibe. There's all these friendly vibes that happen in Alameda. Right. Now, I got here in 2022, and I was surprised when people were announcing, here is the first Alameda Pride celebration. I looked around at first, and apparently I wasn't the only one that was surprised.
Right.
So let's talk through the formation of Alameda Pride. You said you got here in, I believe I was reading, 2014.
Correct.
How did we get to Pride today from there?
So in about 2019, I believe it was, I had the idea. And the idea came from the fact that I was proud to be a gay man, and I'm proud to be an Alamedan, so why not have an Alameda Pride? Oakland has their Pride, San Francisco has their Pride, and we love their Pride. But I noticed that there was a sense of family here, LGBTQ+ family specifically, and so I wanted to make this more of a family-friendly Pride. And so the idea, circling back, began in 2019. Then COVID happened, so we took a break. But I started talking to city officials, community members about how I could make this happen. And it seemed like a very long journey to make this happen. But having 9 months off of work in 2020, I was able to brainstorm a lot. And so it came to life and started meetings to move forward in about 2021. And the first Pride in the Park was born on October, I think it was October 12th, but it was in 2022. This will be our 4th annual Pride in the Park.
And you touched on something. I actually had a note for later, but we'll get to it right now. The family-friendly aspect of it. I was amazed the first time I went to Alameda Pride. I said, this looks like Carnival in Main Street, USA. It just happens to be Pride.
Yeah.
So that was an intentional choice?
Yes, it was. I wanted to play out to the families. I think there's a need for that, especially in Alameda. Like I mentioned before, San Francisco has their pride, Oakland has their pride, and they're great. There's not a family-oriented
Sure.
pride, a place where you can go and there's a kids area and the entertainment is all ages, and things like that. And I just wanted to make it a comfortable place for everyone and all ages.
What was the initial reaction when you first started talking to people about let's do this?
The initial reaction was there's a little bit of history with the LGBTQ plus community that dates back, and it's always been very debatable about whether it would be accepted. It's also, change in times. There's some history there. And so people were like, I don't know if you're going to be able to make this happen. And I don't know if you're going to be able to go through all the loopholes to make this happen. And I was just like, well, we don't know until we try. And so that's what I did. But what I really wanted to do is I wanted to be able to provide the resources and the tools for these kids and these families to be able to have that I never had when I grew up in the Midwest in the mid 90s.
And it really seems to have come to fruition here. We're going to talk about a couple of things as we go on. What has been the reception of sort of Mr. and Mrs. Alameda? Not officials, but just folks who show up and go, hey, how have they reacted?
We have had such a good positive reaction. You're always going to have a few, but we've had some very good positive reaction from the community. And I couldn't be more proud of all the people in the community that have come together, from lesbians and gays and trans and all the queer community, but as well as the religious community that come out to support, such as, the Jewish community here in Alameda, the Christians and everything else. And then in addition to that, all of our straight allies. It's just the love and support in this community has just been absolutely amazing. The amount of nonprofit vendors that we get there, from churches to service organizations to the city to healthcare, has set up vendor tents and everything to let people know that they're here for them. And it's pretty amazing.
And I have to say, because this is a frequent topic on the Alameda Connection, if you go hungry at Pride, it is your own fault.
Correct. That is correct. Yes. There is lots of food trucks and different food vendors that sell things you can take home, different drinks, cookies, popcorn, different food trucks. I think the ice cream truck is going to be there again this year, which had a line around the corner the first year. So,
and the first time I was there, this boy who lived in Georgia for 30 years was very happy to see barbecue. I'm always very happy to see barbecue at any event. One question, and I know the answer, but a lot of listeners might not know the answer, because everyone goes, Pride Month, June, Alameda Pride, October. Wait, why October?
I do get asked that question a lot. I can honestly say that we did originally plan for June. There's so much going on in June. And in addition, all the big major cities have their prides in June, and we wouldn't want to step on their toes. But October is LGBTQ plus History Month.
Okay.
October 11th is actually National Coming Out Day. And also on October 11th was the first day that we opened the doors to our LGBTQ plus teen center here called QTAC. Also October 11th is National Coming Out Day, but it is our event this year, our Pride in the Park. So a lot of things happening on October 11th. In October, it's also anti-bullying month now, okay. I heard from someone. So there's a lot. And then to add to that, Alameda has beautiful weather in October. So
that it does.
Yes.
That it does. We've been having a lot of fun with October. One of the guests coming up later on the Alameda Connection is Patty Carey from Alameda Haunt. So October is just happening.
Yes, it is.
What has been your favorite reaction that you've seen? And obviously you're going to get people from the LGBTQ plus community who say this is great. But what about, let's say, an ally, a straight person? What has been the reaction that's kind of made you go home and go, yeah?
Honestly, I can say that just the support from them has been absolutely amazing, but people asking what they can do to help. We have volunteer opportunities within the Queer Teen Center, and we have so many straight allies that are volunteering for that. We have people in the community that work for different businesses that donate food to us when we have different events. And so those are, straight allies that own those businesses and stuff like that too. But just to see the community come together for an event that is specifically geared toward the queer community from our straight allies is absolutely astonishing, actually, because where I come from, you wouldn't get that. The biggest thing is that we're just supporting people of diversity. And it doesn't matter whether you're gay, lesbian, trans, Jewish, or whatever. We're supporting everybody. And so that's kind of the biggest thing. It's about supporting people.
The human race. What a radical concept.
Exactly, right?
So let's, for people, and I have to say that for people who may be hearing this on the podcast feed or off the YouTube archive, these events will have already passed. But for those listening on KCSM at initial broadcast, these events are coming up. And so if you miss the initial broadcast, mark your calendar for next year. But let's run through the events
Sure.
of Pride Day. What's going on that Saturday, the 11th?
Starting at 9 o'clock in the morning, we will have a Pride fun run or walk if you choose. The registration begins at 8 a.m. The race will begin at 9 a.m. There will be, Starbucks is one of our sponsors. They will provide protein boxes, and we will provide t-shirts, Alameda Pride t-shirts for this year, water bottles. It's just for fun. There is no timing. We do have some baskets to give away and things like that. It's just a fun thing. That is $50, but the $50 goes back into our foundation, which I can talk a little bit about too. At noon starts the Pride in the Park event, which is at Chichenyo Park in Alameda, and that goes until 5 o'clock. We have everything from vendors and food trucks and entertainment, a kids area. We have beer and wine and non-alcoholic beverages, a merch tent. We have all of our sponsors, and then there's a ton of nonprofit and for-profit booths that'll be there as well. And we'll have a DJ over on one side of the park. And please, it's going to be hard to find parking, so we have a bike valet, so you can ride your bike and have your bike parked and be safe in a fenced-in area. So that goes until 5. And then starting at 6 p.m. is our block party, and that goes until 9 p.m. And it's on Alameda Avenue between Park and Oak. And we have a DJ there, and we have drinks provided and just dancing in the street and celebrating who we are.
I've noticed that in years past, some of the businesses around will kind of pick up, and
Yeah.
I remember Fireside did something one year, and so you'll find these little pop-up events.
Correct.
that
Yeah,
go on
I
as
think
well.
Park Station is going to do something
Wonderful.
on Friday evening. So if you wear some Alameda Pride gear, you're going to save money on drinks. So you can look that up as well.
As Scott, who does like Park Station and a nice pint, is furiously scribbling notes.
Yes.
That's fantastic. And one thing I did want to mention for people who may be coming in from out of Alameda, and you talked about parking difficulties, the O-Line Transbay bus stops right at Chichenyo. So if you need to get here by public transit, the O-Line is your friend.
Yes.
Now, you had mentioned the Alameda Pride Foundation, because a lot of people, I'm sure, must come up to you and go, so what do you do in the other 364 days a year?
Right.
So what's up with the foundation?
Thank you for asking that. So when I started this, it was just an event, and we called it Alameda Pride, as most cities do. And that was the Pride in the Park event, but Alameda Pride was a whole weekend. And when I kind of started this whole thing, my vision was to kind of touch on 5 points. And one was all inclusivity. Another one was the youth. Then there was the support. Then there was visibility. And then there was the foundation. So those are the 5 things I've been working on. And in 2022 was Alameda Pride, which now we've changed to be Pride in the Park. And in 2023, I started the foundation. We needed an umbrella to kind of be the overhang for all of these things. So we are now a 501c3 organization. And so everything that we do, like at Pride in the Park, goes funded back into that foundation. And then that foundation distributes our funds to where the needs are. And in 2024, just on October 11th, we opened the LGBTQ plus Teen Center, which is at the Veterans Memorial Building every Friday from 6 to 9, and it's for grades 6 all the way up to grades 12. A lot of our funding from the event goes into that as well. And the kids are loving it. We've had 25 to 30 kids. At times, we have different programming, but it's not required. It's just a safe space for them to feel included and safe in a crazy world right now. So that's been going really well. And the kids named it QTAC, Queer Teen Alameda Center.
Okay.
You'll see them at Pride in the Park as well, too. They'll have a booth set up. That was the youth component. And then there was the visibility. And the visibility, we have kind of taken the 4th of July parade, kind of made our little own entry in there. And this year we had about 150 marchers.
Wonderful.
I was the Grand Marshal for it. It was amazing. So that's kind of our visibility. And so people are seeing that we're here and are wondering how they can support. Next year, I'd like to start working on our support component of that, which would be a huge fundraiser, which we're going to call the gala. And so when I started this foundation,
slow clap from the dad joke fan.
Right, exactly. When we did the foundation, our board actually came up with our mission to create and maintain a safe, inclusive, and equitable environment for the city of Alameda LGBTQ plus community and our allies through outreach, education, funding, and advocacy. And I feel that that's what we've been doing. And we're going to add some more things and just keep layering it until we get everybody in the community included.
What does it feel like to go from, I have an idea, to being the Grand Marshal in the longest 4th of July parade in the nation. That's gotta feel something.
It feels really good. Exhausting, but it feels really good. I was over the moon with excitement, but also shocked when I got the news and the invitation to be the Grand Marshal this year. And that just shows how accepting this community is to have somebody who started Alameda Pride leading the 4th of July parade. And in addition, it's the first year ever that we had a contingent that the Grand Marshal put together following right behind. Usually it's all the dignitaries and everything. Right. So it was pretty cool this year. We got a great response from it.
What would you say to people, and this show goes to the greater Bay Area, if you were talking to members of the queer community in the greater Bay Area, why should they come to Alameda? San Francisco has its appeal, Oakland has its appeal, various of the suburban areas have an appeal. But if you were to speak to the queer community in the greater Bay Area, what would be your real estate sales pitch to this is why you should be here?
I think that people should come to ours because it's different and it's all inclusive of all ages. Everybody's going to have a good time. You know, the first year I saw so many kids tipping drag queens during the show, and that was never a requirement. But to know that that's the kind of thing that we're presenting and how the parents are allowing it to happen because it's all G-rated, so everybody can come here and have a good time and feel included, no matter the age, no matter the gender, no matter who you are.
And what about extending that to maybe a member of the queer community who's thinking, I need to live somewhere different. Why should I live in Alameda?
Oh, that's a no-brainer. We have the best schools, we have the best parks, we have the most accepting community. I mean, we have some dignitaries that live in this town, from the California attorney to assembly members to different senators and stuff like that have actually poured their heart out and have come to the table to help support Alameda and its community. So just that kind of support there is, I think, what a lot of people are looking for and what I never had growing up. You'll get a lot of support here.
In speaking with you, and I can see something that I see in a lot of people who have taken on a mission, which is, I want to ensure that the next generation doesn't have to go through what I went through.
Right.
That's got to be a great driving force.
It is. It very much is. I have a 3-year-old daughter myself, and my main goal in this, and this was before she was born, was to lay the foundation, the path for my children to be able to not have to grow up in the kind of environment that I did at the time that I did, and the place that I did. So providing those resources and tools, because I truly believe that the children are the future of our tomorrow, providing those tools and education and a sense of safety in a diverse world is kind of the key, and knowledge is power. So providing that knowledge and resources for them is going to go a long way.
And let's circle back to QTAC, the Queer Teen Alameda Center, and I love the quick QTAC. That just it sounds great. That initially started as a once a month meeting, wasn't it?
Correct. Yep.
How long did it take to go from once a month to every week?
Well, we started once a month in October, and we started once a week in the summer. The kids were just loving it, and we got such a good response from it. And the programming ranges from everything from a queer-okie night they have sometimes to a open mic night to game night to movie night. But we also have a recreation area there, so people don't have to come in and do the programming per se. There's lots of other things to do. It's just a place for them to socialize and meet their chosen family.
I'm going to ask you about 2 reactions. 1, what reactions do you get from the kids? And 2, what reactions do you get from their parents on QTAC?
Well, I have a couple examples. One is during Pride in the Park, the second year, I had a 17-year-old, I believe he was at the time, come up to me, and he just tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You're Jeramie, aren't you?" And he just broke out in tears. He said, "I want you to know that you saved my life, that I probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you starting Pride in the Park last year, because I have now a family that I met last year and I'm here with them today. So thank you for what you've done." So there obviously was a need for it right from then. The parents have also come up to me. We try to keep the QTAC area confidential because we don't want to out anybody. That's the last thing we want to do. So we ask the parents to drop their kids off and leave. But I've had some parents that have kind of barged in because they want to thank me. They want to thank me for giving their kids a place to feel like they can be themselves. They can be safe in a diverse world, but finding their chosen family, having that support, from your peers. Parents sometimes don't know, the correct way,
Sure.
pronouns to use, or the correct way to respond to something. But we have the resources there for them to be able to ask those questions and to be open and to find inclusion.
It's interesting because it ties into a concept that I learned years ago. Now, I was a theater educator for about 3 years, so I collected a ragtag. I was the island of misfit toys. And so you had all these people who didn't quite know where they were, and they found that safe space. And what was very rewarding for me was reading about a study that controlling for all other factors, socioeconomic, race, everything, the one predictor of success for a child was having the presence of one caring, non-parental adult.
Right.
Could be a coach, could be a teacher, could be a drama director like me, could be someone at QTAC. That, I think people underestimate the importance of just being that adult.
Correct. Yes.
Absolutely.
It's very powerful.
It's really humbling. So let's move a little bit just to Alameda in general, because this is one question that I absolutely love to ask my guests.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a guest coming into town, and you have to take them out to 3 meals in Alameda. Where are you going?
You're trying to get the other restaurants to not like me, aren't you, Scott?
No. This is 2 things can be true. Here are 3, to which the tail answer is, and of course, there's so many others I don't have time to talk about, and then we'll just blame Scott for editing them out.
Yes. Well, I do love all the restaurant options that we have in Alameda, but we do have some go-tos that we like. Turbaco's one of them.
Okay.
We do love Park Street Tavern as well.
Okay.
There's I don't know. I can't say top 3, but I mean, there's a Senna Bourbon Superstar. Do I keep going? But yeah, no. There's a lot of variety for restaurants in Alameda. So, but yeah, usually, well, I'll tell you this: when coming from the Midwest, it's more of a meat and potato type of thing.
Right.
It depends on where my visitors are coming from. No, but yeah, those are my tops.
You do a lot of work. And you have an actual real job too, in addition to this. What keeps you at it?
My daughter.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing. But secondly, just to be able to help people. I mean, I've always been a type of person to want to help people. I don't ask for anything back because it's the reward of feeling good about knowing that you've helped somebody move forward in their life. To see that kind of product come out of what I've been doing is so rewarding. I do hair for a living.
Okay.
And so doing hair, when you do hair, it's the reward of that too. It's
Sure.
like making people feel good about themselves. Sure. And so everything kind of aligns in my life with just making people feel good about themselves because, we live in a harsh world right now.
How can people help Alameda Pride?
Well, thank you for asking. We have lots of volunteer opportunities. We also have positions open on our committees, which would be Pride in the Park, as well as QTAC. We have board positions become available too. As Alameda Pride is growing, we are finding the need to make our board bigger so that we can have more hands-on. We're hoping to look forward to adult meetups in the future once a month so that people can get to know other queer people within their community, not just the youth or not just going to an event or stuff like that, but all getting together. You can actually go online to alamedapride.org. If you go under the Get Involved section, there's Be a Volunteer area. So that is for the Pride in the Park event, volunteering there. But as far as volunteering for QTAC, if you send me a message under Contact Us under the website, it'll go directly towards me, and I will answer you back either about being a volunteer at QTAC or being a volunteer on the committee or on the board.
Pipe dream. Sky's the limit.
Mm-hmm.
What does Alameda Pride look like in 5 years?
Well, in 5 years, I'd like to have everybody kind of working as a well-oiled machine. So we would have a committee for each of those 5 components that I had spoken about, as well as a board of 9 people. Looking beyond 5 years, I would love it if it happened in 5 years, but my end goal is to have an LGBTQ plus center here in Alameda, a big Victorian house with 3 levels, one for the seniors, one for the youth, one for health, HIV testing or different vaccines that need to be taken care of, or just a support system, classes, education, things like that. That's in the very, very, very far future. But it would be great. Oakland has an LGBTQ plus center. Richmond has a really, really amazing one. So it'd be great to have one in Alameda.
What have people from other queer center and queer-oriented community outreach places said to you from around the Greater Bay? What sort of compliments have you got? They've said, hey, great job, or can you help me out? Or what sort of interaction are you getting with the greater community?
So Oakland LGBTQ Plus Center has been really helpful. They have sent over people to kind of help us get the QTAC up and running, as well as different connections that we can get throughout Alameda County, services that are provided, grants that might be provided, funding, things like that. So they've been really helpful in helping us kind of navigate that. In the beginning, when we were trying to do the QTAC, we went around to all the middle schools and all the high schools in Alameda, and we had a questionnaire and we asked them what they wanted because it's their center. We didn't do this ourselves. It was with the kids' comments. And so they were there kind of helping us navigate, like, these are the questions you should ask because these are going to be good components with that. So that was the Oakland LGBTQ Center. Rise Center in Richmond, they got a grant given to them by the city. I think it was like $1 million, wow, something. And they built this 3-story center. It has a community garden. It has a kitchen where they can do cooking classes. It has a whole outside stage area where they can practice their runway walks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. If you ever go get a chance to look at it, you should do that. But they gave us some advice too. And actually, we're sending some of our 2 coordinators for the teen center to them to get some training on things that they can learn to do to kind of make ours the best it can be.
Ask you one final question. So, after October's over and you get to take a breath, what is Jeramie Andehueson doing just to relax?
Spending time with my family mostly. You know, the holidays is right around the corner, so it's not much of a break. November gets to be a break. But we start up meetings for Pride in the Park in March again, so I get a little bit of a break. But I just want to spend time with my family. The thought of going and doing stuff just seems exhausting after planning such a big event like this. But you know, the foundation, QTAC, they continue to run all year round, but I think we have some people in place that are making it run very well.
Jeramie Andehueson, founder and president of Alameda Pride. Absolute pleasure having you on the Alameda Connection. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Scott. My pleasure.
Take care. Thanks once again to Jeramie Andehueson, founder and president of Alameda Pride. You can find Alameda Pride online at alamedapride.com. There, you'll find details on Alameda Pride in the Park, QTAC, the Queer Teen Alameda Center, as well as volunteer opportunities. Again, that's alamedapride.com. You can also find them on Instagram at Alameda_Pride. At the top of the show, I told you I wanted to invite you to an event. Well, here's the details. Coming up Saturday, November 1st, at the Alameda Theater and Cineplex, a special showing of the KCSM documentary, 60 Years of Broadcasting and Jazz, narrated by Tiffany Austin. This documentary takes a look at 6 decades of jazz in the Bay Area through the eyes of the folks who bring it to you on KCSM Jazz 91. And there's a whole lot more than just sitting down to watch a movie. Your ticket for the November 1st showing gets you a screening of the film, and then an exclusive question and answer session with the producers. And right after that, a short walk up the street to the California Historical Radio Society for a reception and tour. If you've never toured CHRS, you're missing out. This all takes place Saturday, November 1st at 2 p.m. at the Alameda Theater and Cineplex. The screening will take place in Alameda Theater's historic Theater Number 1. I may be a bit biased, but I am a grade A movie buff, and the Alameda Historic Theater is one of the finest places that I've ever watched a film. Tickets are available for students for only $10 if you purchase at the box office. Regular tickets are available online for only $20. For a mere $5 more, you can get the luxury reclining seat. Proceeds benefit both KCSM and the California Historical Radio Society. To get your tickets, head to chrsradio.com/KCSMDoc. That's chrsradio.com/KCSMDoc. I've got my tickets, and I hope to see you there. Thanks to the California Historical Radio Society for providing the location for this week's interview with Jeramie Andehueson. Coming up next Sunday on the Alameda Connection, if you enjoy a good glass of craft brewed beer or a dram of whiskey from the Golden State, odds are there's a little bit of Alameda already in your glass. That's because both beverages require malted barley, the ingredient commonly known as malt, and that malt frequently comes from right here in Alameda at our own Admiral Maltings. I sit down with Chief Malt Hustler Ron Silberstein as we learn about the craft of malt and why you should head to their wonderful pub, The Rake. That's coming up next Sunday morning on the Alameda Connection. As always, our theme music here is by Bill Hart. The song is called Beachside Isle, and it's from his 1999 album, Watch the Sky. I'm Scott Piehler. I hope you'll join me next Sunday morning at 8 a.m. on KCSM-HD2 as I welcome Ron Silberstein of Admiral Maltings to the Alameda Connection. That's Sunday morning at 8 on KCSM-HD2.